Single Dad's boss knocked at midnight, then said, "Don't call me boss tonight." Hello everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now, let's get into today's story. Single Dad's boss knocked at midnight, then said, "Don't call me boss tonight." The knock came at exactly midnight, just as Ronan Fletcher was finishing the dishes from a late dinner with his 7-year-old daughter, Poppy. She'd finally fallen asleep after 3 stories and 2 glasses of water, her usual bedtime stalling tactics, and Ronan had been looking forward to collapsing on the couch with whatever was left of his energy. The last person he expected to see through the peephole was Astrid Thorne, his boss. His incredibly intimidating, ruthlessly efficient, hauntingly beautiful boss who ran Thorne and Associates, one of the most prestigious architecture firms in Chicago, with an iron fist and zero tolerance for mistakes. Ronan opened the door, confusion and alarm warring in his chest. "Miss Thorne, is everything okay? Did I miss an email about—" "Don't call me Ms. Thorne tonight," Astrid interrupted, her voice different from the crisp, commanding tone she used at the office. Softer, almost vulnerable. "Please, just— Astrid." That's when Ronan noticed the details. Her usually immaculate appearance was disheveled, hair escaping from its severe bun, mascara smudged under her eyes like she'd been crying, her designer coat thrown on over what looked like pajama pants and a t-shirt. "Are you okay?" Ronan asked, his concern overriding the weirdness of his boss showing up at his apartment at midnight. "Do you need me to call someone? Can I come in?" Astrid asked, and there was something in her grey eyes. Desperation, maybe, or loneliness so profound it made Ronan's chest ache. "I know it's inappropriate. I know I shouldn't be here, but I didn't know where else to go." Every professional instinct told Ronan this was a terrible idea, but the human part of him, the part that recognized someone in pain, stepped aside and gestured her in. "Of course, come in." Astrid stepped into his modest apartment, and Ronan saw her take in the space, the worn furniture he'd inherited from his grandmother, the toys scattered despite his best efforts to keep things tidy, the artwork on the fridge held up by alphabet magnets. It was a universe away from the sleek minimalist office where Astrid ruled. "I'm sorry," she said, wrapping her arms around herself. "I shouldn't have come. This is wildly inappropriate. You're my employee, and I'm showing up at midnight some kind of—" "Sit," Ronan interrupted gently, gesturing to the couch. "I'll make tea. Then you can tell me what happened." While the kettle heated, Ronan watched Astrid from the kitchen. At 36, she was a force of nature in the architecture world, brilliant, demanding, and completely untouchable. In the 2 years Ronan had worked as her senior designer, he'd never seen her be anything other than perfectly composed and professionally distant. This Astrid, curled up on his couch with her knees pulled to her chest, looking lost and young, was someone he'd never seen before. "Here," he said, handing her a mug of chamomile tea. "My go-to for bad nights." "You have a lot of bad nights?" Astrid asked, wrapping her hands around the warmth. "Single dad of a 7-year-old who refuses to sleep and a demanding job," Ronan said with a slight smile. "Bad nights come with the territory. What about you? What brings you to my door at midnight?" Astrid stared into her tea for a long moment. "Today is the anniversary of my sister's death. 10 years. Everyone else has moved on, my parents, my friends, everyone. But I can't. Every year on this day, I fall apart. And usually I do it alone in my penthouse. But tonight I was sitting there in the dark and I realized I couldn't bear to be alone, so I did something completely irrational. You came here, Ronan said quietly. I came here, Astrid confirmed, because you're the only person I know who... She trailed off, searching for words. You're kind. In the office, you're the only one who isn't afraid of me, who treats me like a person instead of just a boss, and I needed that tonight. Ronan felt his heart clench. I'm sorry about your sister. That must be incredibly painful. She was my best friend, Astrid said, her voice breaking slightly. Riley, she was 2 years younger, and she was everything I'm not. Warm, spontaneous, easy with people. She died in a car accident when she was 24. I was supposed to be driving that night, but I stayed late at work. She went alone, and if I had just... Don't, Ronan said firmly. Whatever you're about to say about how it's your fault, don't. I know that spiral. I've been there. Astrid looked up, surprised. You've lost someone. My wife, Ronan said quietly. Poppy's mom. She died in childbirth. Complications no one expected. For years, I blamed myself. If I'd noticed something sooner, if I'd insisted on more tests, But those ifs don't change anything. They just keep you trapped in the past. How did you move forward? Astrid asked, and the vulnerability in her voice was almost painful to hear. I had Poppy, Ronan said simply. I had to keep going for her, but I also had to forgive myself. Accidents happen. Tragedies happen. They're not always someone's fault, even though we desperately want them to be, because then at least there's someone to blame. Astrid set down her tea, tears streaming down her face. I built this entire persona, the Ice Queen, the perfectionist, the workaholic, to distract myself from the guilt. If I'm working, I'm not thinking about Riley. If I'm being the untouchable boss, no one asks about my personal life. But tonight it all crumbled. I was alone in that penthouse, and I realized I've been alone for 10 years. I don't have friends anymore. I don't date. I don't let anyone close, and I don't know how to stop being this way. Without thinking, Ronan moved to sit beside her on the couch, close enough to offer comfort, but not touching. You start by being honest. You're being now. And you let people help you. I don't know how to do that, Astrid whispered. Then practice, Ronan said gently. Right now. What do you need? Astrid looked at him, her grey eyes swimming with tears. I need to not be alone. I need someone to tell me it's okay to still be sad after 10 years. I need... She broke off, more tears falling. It's okay to still be sad, Ronan said firmly. Grief doesn't have a timeline. You don't get over losing someone you love. You just learn to carry it differently. Washji, how did you get so wise? Astrid asked with a watery laugh. Therapy, Ronan admitted. Lots and lots of therapy. After Maya died, I was a mess. If it weren't for a grief counselor and a very patient support group, I don't think I would have made it. Have you ever talked to anyone, professionally? Astrid shook her head. I threw myself into work instead, built the company into what it is today, told myself that success was enough. Is it? Ronan asked gently. No, Astrid said, the admission seeming to cost her. It's empty. I have everything I thought I wanted, the company, the reputation, the money, but I go home to an empty penthouse every night. I eat dinner alone. I haven't been on a date in 3 years. I've built a perfect life that's completely hollow. Then maybe it's time to build something different, Ronan suggested. I don't know how, Astrid said. I've been the Ice Queen for so long, I don't remember how to be anything else. You're being something else right now, Ronan pointed out. You're being honest, vulnerable, human. And I promise it's much more compelling than the Ice Queen act. Astrid laughed through her tears. Is this what you're like outside the office? Wise and comforting? Because at work, you're just the quiet guy who does brilliant designs and never complains. At work, I'm your employee trying not to get fired for missing deadlines because my daughter had a school play, Ronan said with a smile. At home, I'm just a dad trying to figure life out one day at a time. And tonight, I'm a friend helping someone who needs it. A friend, Astrid repeated softly. I can't remember the last time someone called me that. They talked for hours. Astrid told him about Riley, her laugh, her dreams of being a photographer, the way she could light up any room. Ronan told her more about Maya, about the joy and terror of raising Poppy alone, about the small moments that made it all worthwhile. Around 3 a.m., Astrid's eyes started to droop. I should go, she said, but made no move to stand. You should sleep, Ronan corrected. The guest room is just down the hall. It's not much, but it's better than driving home exhausted. I can't impose. You're not, Ronan said firmly. You're accepting help from a friend. That's what tonight is about, remember? Learning to let people help you. Astrid looked like she wanted to argue, but exhaustion won out. Okay, thank you, Ronan, for everything, for not judging me for showing up like this, for listening, for understanding. Any time, Ronan said, and meant it. The next morning, Ronan woke to the smell of pancakes. Confused, he definitely hadn't started cooking. He stumbled into the kitchen to find Astrid, still in her pajamas and t-shirt, making breakfast, while Poppy sat at the table, chattering away. And then the princess rode the dinosaur to school because cars are boring, Poppy was saying seriously. That makes perfect sense, Astrid replied with equal gravity. Cars are definitely boring compared to dinosaurs. Poppy noticed Ronan. Daddy, your friend makes good pancakes. Can she stay? Astrid turned, a slight flush on her cheeks. I hope you don't mind. I woke up early and heard Poppy moving around. I thought I'd help with breakfast as a thank you. I don't mind at all, Ronan said, still processing the image of his intimidating boss flipping pancakes in his kitchen while discussing dinosaurs with his daughter. Though I have to say, this is not how I expected this morning to go. Life's full of surprises, Astrid said with a small smile that transformed her entire face. Over breakfast, Ronan watched Astrid interact with Poppy, patient, engaged, genuinely interested in his daughter's rambling stories. This was the woman Riley must have known, he realized, the warm, real person buried under years of professional armor. After Poppy ran off to get dressed, Astrid turned to Ronan. About last night. You don't have to explain, Ronan said quickly. I want to, Astrid insisted. I was vulnerable and inappropriate, and I don't want things to be weird at work. So I'm proposing we make a deal. What happened last night stays between us. At the office, I'm still Ms. Thorne, and you're still my employee, but outside of work... She hesitated. Maybe we could be friends, real friends. I think I need that more than I realized. I'd like that, Ronan said honestly. But Astrid, you should know. I don't think I can go back to seeing you as just my boss, not after last night. You're not the Ice Queen to me anymore. Good, Astrid said softly, because I'm tired of being her. Over the next few months, Astrid and Ronan developed an unexpected friendship. She'd stop by after work sometimes, bringing takeout and staying for dinner with Ronan and Poppy. She taught Poppy about architecture, showing her how to build elaborate structures with blocks. She went to Poppy's school play and cheered louder than anyone else. And slowly, Astrid started to soften. At work, she was still professional and demanding, but the sharp edges dulled. She smiled more. She asked about people's lives. The office whispered about the change, but no one understood what had caused it. You're different, Ronan told her one evening as they cleaned up after dinner while Poppy played in the living room. Happier? I am, Astrid admitted. Having people in my life again, having you and Poppy, it's reminded me what I was missing. I've been so focused on not letting anyone close, because I was afraid of being hurt again, but being alone hurt more. I'm glad we could help, Ronan said, then hesitated. Astrid, can I ask you, why me? That night you showed up at my door. You could have called anyone, family, old friends, a therapist. Why come to me? Astrid was quiet for a moment, carefully drying a plate. Because you saw me. At work, everyone sees Miss Thorne, the boss, the ice queen, the perfectionist. But you always looked a little deeper. When I snapped at the team after a bad client meeting, you brought me coffee and quietly said, "Rough day?" Not afraid, not resentful, just kind. Like you saw the person behind the title. I did, Ronan admitted. I do. And Astrid, I need you to know, these past few months, spending time with you outside work, it's become the best part of my week. Mine too, Astrid said, turning to face him. They were standing close in the small kitchen, the moment charged with something neither had acknowledged until now. This is complicated, Ronan said quietly. You're my boss. There are rules, policies. I know, Astrid whispered. But when have I ever cared about doing things the conventional way? Fair point, Ronan said with a slight smile. Then, because he'd been wanting to for months, can I kiss you? Astrid's answer was to close the distance between them, her lips meeting his in a kiss that felt like coming home. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against his. I'm falling in love with you, she admitted. I fought it for months because of the complications, but I can't anymore. You and Poppy, you've given me back my life. You've reminded me how to be human again. I'm in love with you too, Ronan said. Have been since you showed up at my door at midnight looking vulnerable and real. That's when I knew the Ice Queen was just a costume, and the real you was someone extraordinary. What do we do about work? Astrid asked practically. We disclose to HR, follow proper protocols, make sure everything's above board, Ronan said. I can transfer to a different supervisor if needed. We'll figure it out. But Astrid, I'm not walking away from this. From us. And neither am I, Astrid said, kissing him again. From the living room came Poppy's voice. Are you and Daddy kissing? Because that's gross, but also means you should get married. They broke apart, laughing. Astrid called back, We'll take it under consideration. A year later, they did get married. A small ceremony with close friends, family, and Poppy as the flower girl who took her duties very seriously. Astrid had transferred ownership of enough company shares to make Ronan a partner rather than an employee, eliminating the boss-employee dynamic entirely. At the reception, Poppy gave a speech that made everyone cry. Astrid used to be sad, and Daddy used to be lonely. But now they're happy together, and I get a mum who knows about dinosaurs and buildings. Also, I help them fall in love by being cute. She's not wrong, Ronan whispered to Astrid as they danced. About any of it. No, Astrid agreed, resting her head on his shoulder. Thank you for opening your door that night, for seeing past the Ice Queen, for teaching me how to be human again. Thank you for knocking, Ronan replied. For trusting me with your pain, for letting me and Poppy into your life, for being brave enough to be vulnerable. Don't call me boss anymore, Astrid said with a smile. Never again, Ronan promised. Just Astrid, my wife, my love, my home. And as they danced, Astrid thought about that desperate midnight knock, about showing up at her employee's door in pajamas and tears, about taking the terrifying risk of being seen. It had been the best decision of her life, because sometimes the person you need most is the one who's been seeing you all along, and sometimes all it takes is midnight, vulnerability, and someone who says, you don't have to be the Ice Queen tonight, just be you. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Astrid and Ronan's midnight encounter turned love story touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, Keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.